consequence. 'Cause in your eyes, you wonder if you're good enough. 'Cause in your eyes, nothing's ever good enough. It's the price of fame, of fame. Pick your poison, choose your pain. It's the price of fame, of fame. Pick your poison, choose your pain. It's the price of fame, of fame. Pick your poison, choose your pain. It's the price of fame, of fame. Pick your poison, choose your pain.
Hello again, my friends. Just a couple quick things before we get on to the episode. First, thanks so much for your patience. Second, thank you for listening. It does mean a lot to me. I know how hard it is to give people your time and your attention these days, and any that is ever given to me is not unappreciated. So thank you so much for that. And lastly, Void Signal is like NPR. I keep it ad-free because I hate ads and I hate corporations. So if you want to support the creation of more Void Signal content, the best way to do that is to visit voidsignal.net or patreon.com/voidsignal and sign up for the Void Signal Patreon. All the tiers are the same. They all get you access to the same stuff. There's the Void Signal Strangers series. There's additional trivia episodes on there. There's all kinds of things. Consider signing up and it is greatly appreciated. Anyway, I hope your holidays are safe. I hope you are well as maybe you can be. And yeah, please take care of yourself. I wouldn't want anything to happen to you. So thank you. Be well. All right, let's get on with this bullshit. So I guess I'm going to do an intro. I don't usually do them. I usually just force myself on people and we just start. I will cut that word. Thou cut that phrasing. We won't use that. But we just sort of start usually. But I don't know. I'll turn over a new leaf and try and be professional. So welcome to Void Signal. I am Brian, and my guests tonight are Eric and Niko from Whorticulture. So thanks for finally making this work. We were going to do this originally before my spine surgery and had to kind of cut it short a little bit, by not doing it at all. So thank you for rescheduling it. How are you guys?
Good. Absolutely, man. We're happy to be here. We are just glad that anyone even wants to, talk to us.
There's not many, but
exactly.
But
we have the Brian fan club, and so
yeah. That's all you really need. So one thing that I did want to talk to you about is that you guys have not really this is sort of I find your music and your project an interesting endeavor. Because both of you, or no, I want to say, Niko, you told me that maybe you had a metal background, and that's kind of how you arrived, that's where you came from, if I'm remembering correctly. Is that right?
Both of us, actually.
Oh, okay.
Both. So yes, both Eric and I played in another band for actually how long? 15 years.
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2003 through, I think maybe 2017 or 18.
So quite some time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we played another band. We were always influenced by a lot of different styles of music.
Sure.
So we always loved darker stuff, the emotional stuff. But Eric and I, another reason that this project works so well is we share so many things in common, especially taste in music. So we like stuff from, obviously 80s pop to 90s R&B. We also really love funk and all just a bunch of random stuff. And we would be talking about bands that we like and the certain influences we have. And almost all the time. He's like, oh, I love that band. Oh, I love that person. Oh, I love those producers. Like the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are big influences for us.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't know if you're familiar with those guys.
I am not. No, those are names that are alien to me.
Gotcha. Not that it's necessarily relevant, but they are the producers that were behind a lot of like Janet Jackson's biggest hits.
All right.
So they're the ones who kind of crafted that arrangement and those instrumentations and all that kind of stuff.
What a very specific thing to bond over.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and even stylistically.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's crazy because like if you think about production, they use all those slammy, like big reverby type snares and stuff is like in industrial. So it's like a very similar concept of like drums and production and vocals and all that.
Sure. Gotcha. And like, so after bonding over that, you just were like, you decided to strike because your first release was 2019. So it's kind of a baby project still, like, you know.
Absolutely.
So
and
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's absolutely it's a brand new project. It still feels like that way to us, and yeah, we ourselves refer to ourselves as a baby band still, because yeah, I mean, you also have to factor in the fact that we had COVID going on for lockdown, so that 2020 kind of didn't really count as much, even though we got a bulk of our current singles out during that time. But in terms of being able to go out into the world and going to clubs and having the music being played by DJs, et cetera, that really didn't start really taking off until after all that stuff was, some of those restrictions were coming up and clubs were open again in 2021.
Sure. And that is something that I did want to talk to you about as well, is that you do have a sort of a very unique approach to the way that you're making releases and organizing this project. Is that like, this has all been singles, and coming upon your name, was sort of, I don't know, like your name found its way to me through like multiple channels. And that was a little bit surprising. And I mean, no disrespect when I say this, but just like that was maybe a little bit surprising when I go look up Whorticulture. Okay, let me see what this is about. It's a smattering of singles. I expected something, a larger body of work, maybe.
Yes. No, I totally understand. So you actually do feel that that's a less common approach to doing things for real?
I don't think it is now, but I think that I don't think there are many artists operating in the scene right now that have at least not tried to like, here's an EP or here's an album or here's a whatever. It's just interesting to me that, because so I'll share this little anecdote really quick.
Please.
It's charming.
Sure. Ooh, charming.
I mean, not to stroke my own dick off or anything, but it's a charming little story I got.
No, if you're going to stroke it, leave it off.
Yeah. I have the camera off, so you won't know. But
we can hear things though.
That's true. But I'm a quiet masturbator, so you have to.
Oh.
What does that mean? I don't. Anyway. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So not only had I been exposed to like Whorticulture through the Aesthetic Perfection Battle of the Bands thing, and sort of I saw the through there, but a friend of mine that I grew up with, who I exposed to Tori Amos at a very young age, and she's like a huge Tori Amos fan.
Oh, awesome.
She sent me a playlist out of nowhere. We hadn't really talked in a while or whatever. She sent me a playlist and was like, hey, some of these songs reminded me of you. And Whorticulture's Tori Amos cover was on there. And I was like, oh, I'm this is the second time I've heard of this band. How did you hear?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm a huge Tori Amos fan, and I stumbled over it and loved it so much, and wanted to send it to you to, so that you could love it as well." And so that was like the other exposure of like, here's somebody outside of the scene, outside of the bubble, who found this thing, and brought it to me again.
That's so cool.
So I thought it was interesting.
Awesome.
I think it's cool and interesting that like your reach is so, I don't know, like, is interesting. It's like a weird social sort of I don't know. Does that make sense? And like the Whorticulture server is like a thing where I want to kind of pick your brain on too, because like it kind of jives with kind of how you're out there in the world, if that makes sense. It's like hey, have you heard of this kind of a thing?
I would be very interested to hear your sort of more third party or outsider perspective on what you think about that, because it's always hard to self-evaluate clearly. So I'd be honestly curious what your thoughts are on that, actually.
We don't ask me questions on this, so no, it's fine. I was just gonna say, it was just interesting to me because like being exposed to your name and then your music was so organic. It was so just like, it was like, I don't know. I guess that's sort of how it came about. And then to sort of join the Whorticulture server and like listen to your music and kind of see what your fan base is like, it's been an interesting experience to see what and I mean, no disrespect by saying this, but it's interesting to see what you have, not to make a pun either, but to see what you've cultivated with very little, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, absolutely. That's one thing that I do reflect on pretty often. And both Eric and I talk about this a lot, that we've really had some amazing opportunities and had some just absolutely wonderful experiences and been able to do, I think, a pretty good amount, considering that for most of this time, we only had 6 singles. Now, of course, this year, we did release the first song from their newer batch of songs. So 7 now, but that's it. That's all we have. That's our overall, or whatever the fucking word is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, it kind of confuses me. Sure. As to why, because I would usually figure from my perspective, if I'm into another band, just like you, and I go, okay, well, let me look them up, and I see like, what, they have 5, 6 songs? That's it? I think a lot of times you would like, okay, well, let's put them back in the oven for a little bit, let them bake for a while,
right,
and I'll check it out when they're ready.
I want them to release a full length and be into 2 songs.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's like part of the philosophy is like, for me, just releasing so much stuff in like other projects, I was like, we just need to get this stuff out. Like, and if you think about the club world, it's like, they'll spin a single. They won't spin a full record. They'll find something that's the best thing off there. So I'm like, instead of working on, and getting an EP out, as it were, like collection of 6 songs, and then waiting to drop them at a specific time, it doesn't seem, it seems better just to siphon them out. Right. Have people listen to them as we're working, because we're in charge of everything. We do our own production, we do our own recording, we do our own mixing and mastering. We do everything ourselves from the first downbeat.
Gotcha.
We have control over that. And then we're eventually going to package, the first EP into an actual EP that we can, just to give out or sell at shows and stuff.
Sure.
And I think we're going to like continue to do this and just keep and then like when the time comes, we'll think about putting it in a collection, as it were, on Spotify. So like, you can have a like an EP thing.
Yeah.
And if we, if we have 100% time, like to devote to something that it's like you spend 3 months on a record, from like, that's what you do. Go to work, you go work on a, like the old days, but that doesn't exist for us. We have to squeeze this stuff in.
Right. So
I was just better not to wait, get this stuff out, get it out and for people to enjoy. And it's like, it's always been, feels weird, cause like ideally you want to be, I come from the old days of like, buying a record,
right.
And throwing it in. And there's something really cool about that,
right,
that I love. But sometimes I remember some records, like I remember throwing in Ozzy Osbourne's like his new record, the one with like the silver, I can't remember what it was. It's like Zakk Wylde on it. And I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, I like one song.
Yeah.
And it's the single.
Yeah,
it's the single. Like, you know what I mean? And then maybe I'll find two songs. Maybe I'll find another one that I like. And that really stuck with me because I'm like, what? Why am I putting B-sides on stuff? Like, why don't I put what I really think is sweet and awesome and then get it out right away? We don't have to wait for anything, really. Like, what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why things are the way they are.
And I think that's smart. I think that a la carte kind of approach it seems to be working for you guys so far. I mean, at least from my optics as somebody outside who did sort of find your project organically, it seems to be working. But I don't know. You can tell me.
I mean, we'll have criticisms from like industry people and like other musicians that are like, why are you doing it this way? And I'm like, because I want things out. I don't want to be sitting on an EP,
right?
Like while that song is out and being enjoyed, I'm working on the next one, and it's like it feels more efficient, between the artist and the fan base to just make a song, throw it out, make a song, throw it out, and just keep them coming.
Yeah, it does seem to be effective. Niko,
another thing,
you gonna
go for it.
No. I was just gonna throw it to you. I saw that you were gonna have like some thoughts on this, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, naturally, I agree with what Eric says, and it does help us to pace it a little better and to balance it with the fact that we, at this moment in time, are not full-time musicians, though that is the goal. We would love to be able to devote all of our time to doing this and, performing and making cool videos and music and art and all that stuff. But we have to balance it just like anyone else with full-time jobs, and it's not much time left over. So to focus on a single helps to take the pressure off a little bit, rather than be like, oh shit, we got to put out this 10, 12, 14 track album.
Right.
I mean, I used to do that too back in the day, and we were, both Eric and I were album guys, and we would sort of, I guess, rebel against the approaching singles culture back when iTunes first became a thing, and I was like, oh, we gotta have albums, man. That's where the artists are.
Right.
Oh yeah, Niko. Back in those days, Niko was actually even against Spotify. Like when Spotify was happening, he was like, no Spotify.
Yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. It was like, back in the day, that was my experience as well growing up, is that like you buy the CD and you get it home and you're fucking stuck with that shit. And like it might have like one song on it that's fucking good, and you're like, wow, all right, cool. Like, but sometimes songs would grow on you, so there is something to be said for it, because you're like, but I mean, I don't think you can do that now. Now you're not keeping people in isolation with their CD. Like the moment people are not into what you got, they will change it. That is just the nature.
Exactly.
So I think that I do think that this method that you have adopted, I do think it's smart. And it seems like I would imagine that, in the case of like trying to make an album or something more long form, you're sort of delaying any return on investment in that case. Is that correct? I would assume.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And then, go ahead.
Yeah. Then you have people, then you turn into Tool, where it's like you're waiting 10 years for them to get done with the record, but those are like, they're already established band. We're just trying to have the opportunity to get stuff out for people to listen to. We're like just trying to just get the ball rolling,
Sure.
And, we don't want to, I definitely don't want to take 10 years to make this, but
why not?
It's
it might be great.
Yeah, I know, but it's the recording, the writing, recording, mixing, and mastering phase. The whole thing is just it's a hard thing to do, especially if you want it to be good. You can't, if we rushed stuff out and, made a lot of, shortcuts, and if you lived by the deadline, then you'd have something that maybe is not as up to par as you like it to be. And the other option is, if you want everything done fast, you can outsource it. But that's like, that hurts my soul, because I do this stuff. So it's like,
right.
I'm gonna pay another guy to do this? No.
Right. Yeah.
It just takes longer. So that's the trade-off.
Right. Takes longer. And then there's the financial component as well of just like, because you both work, that was the thing that you made clear. And this scene, that's a lot of people, right? Of like, a lot of people are, the 9 to 5, hopefully, fingers fucking crossed, that's all they're having to work. Right. But
exactly,
that's everybody. So I sort of, in this scene, at least, so I do hope that changes for you in the future, or that you can at least devote more time to it. I do think there's something sort of, I don't know. I think there's something kind of funny to me about like, I'm having you on Void Signal on your, out of everybody that I've had on, and I've had artists on of varying sizes, right? Like, from, a 22-year-old kid who's like, she made her first record on her laptop and had no real idea what she was doing, to, Stabbing Westward or whatever, or Health or whatever. But it is sort of amusing to me to have that I was like, so that you guys kind of found your way to me, because it's like you have 7 songs, right? Like, spread out over from 2019 to 2023. And again, I'm not, trying to be rude or offensive or anything. I just think that
no.
I'm sort of intrigued by just the method by which you have found yourselves where you are, because you've also been like playing more shows and stuff, it seems, right?
We have. So I'm trying to think about that question of yours as well, because like you, I also, as I said, find it interesting that we only have 7 songs, and we've already got opportunities to, for instance, be the tour support last year with Solar Fake, which was an amazing experience. Fantastic guys. If you're ever able to interview Sven, definitely do it. He's an awesome guy.
He said yes. I met him at Mechanismus last year, and he was very friendly. But I was he agreed, but I'm running way behind. So
nice.
We'll get to him.
Yeah. No, he's good people. He's really good people.
Seems like.
but yeah, we've got, as I said, we got these wonderful opportunities. We've been able to meet and even open up for bands that we look up to and we respect, like Aesthetic Perfection, you know, and now we having, I mean, so this is weird for me to talk about because I feel like there's no way to talk about some positive things that happen without me sounding like I'm bragging about stuff.
No, it's cool, man. Like I get it. I get it. Like, you know, I get excited about shit. Like to be like, oh, I fucking did this. Like, it's fine. Like, hit me with it. Like, I want to hear it.
I mean, it's one of those things that I still kind of like pinch myself about because you have to remember, Eric and I, yes, we played in bands together for quite a long time, multiple genres, you know, all that kind of stuff. But we've been going to the goth clubs as patrons, as dancers for 15, 20 years at this point.
Right.
So we came into this scene as in kind of like active participants. We danced to the music. We fell in love with the music. We always liked dark stuff, but this specific like club style music.
Sure.
We fell in love with it by dancing, by like connecting with it physically on the dance floor. And these songs, these artists, like they hold a special place for us because, you know, we have that almost kinetic emotional connection to specific songs and specific memories.
Sure.
And here we are now trying to do our best to contribute back to a scene that we ourselves love. And the artists that we used to dance to and still dance to, by the way, are starting to notice us, our little tiny baby Whorticulture band out of Denver.
Yeah.
They're starting to notice, like, you know, Daniel Graves shouted us out a month or two ago in a reel that he made. He just talked about bands that he thinks are doing cool shit. And he just name dropped us out of nowhere. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then, you know, one of my favorite bands in the scene, Neurotic Fish, like Sasha from Neurotic Fish, he noticed that and he like commented on stuff. He's like, hey, I really like your stuff. I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
what's going on?
I get it. I totally get it because it's like, I mean, I saved the screenshot from where like Health followed you on Instagram and I'm all like, oh my God. I was like, oh fuck. Like, I mean, I can't help it. Like we're all fucking like giant kids. Like we're fucking
we are.
Kids. Like we get excited about fucking dumb shit.
Yes, 100%. No, I totally get that. I also saved screenshots when I saw that there were like artists or, you know, other people in the scene or industry people or whatever, someone I'm like, oh my God, I know that person.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's meaningless, but it makes me feel nice. So fucking who cares?
It makes me feel good too. But I mean, back to the core question is something I think both Eric and I would genuinely be interested in because we tend to be a little bit more on the doubting, self-deprecating side of things because, so we've already told you that we played in a band for quite a long time before Whorticulture. We put out like 4 albums with this band, like back to the album model too, right? We did that. We played local shows. We never toured, but it always felt like no matter how much effort we put in or how much we tried, they just, I don't know, it just wasn't catching on with people for whatever reason. We had still, you know, a handful of people out in the world that did seem to appreciate some of the things, and we're always grateful for that. But there wasn't any feeling of there's momentum. This is catching on with people. We had a lot of challenges externally as well as internally with other band members, just not seeing eye to eye. And it just felt like we had basically nothing but failure after failure and struggle after struggle. And both Eric and I got really disillusioned with music in general. We had both talked about giving up many times, different points in the timeline, feeling like there was no chance for whatever we wanted to do in the world, that people would like it, like would give a shit about anything we wanted to create and do. And so this project is kind of throwing us for a loop because we started it on a whim because we were the only 2 band members left. And we're like, well, Eric suggested it actually. He's like, well, it's pretty much just you and me now. So do you want to just start a new project? Let's the stuff we love. Let's do the club stuff.
Right.
Like it was, and we thought it would never go anywhere. We just stuff we work on in his basement.
Right.
And then a few years later, local DJs here are playing our shit. And then I found out DJs on Twitch suddenly are playing our shit. They don't even know us.
Right.
And we're getting show opportunities and other, like our socials are starting to grow and people are saying nice things. And it's like, I hate feeling this way, but there's a part of me that like doesn't really believe it. Does that make any sense?
Oh, absolutely. I get that completely. I mean, like, Void Signal is my little dumb passion project radio show. Like, yeah, I think nothing of it, but like, when people are starting to hold it in high regard. So I understand that feeling of like, it's almost like imposter syndrome sometimes of like,
yes,
of like, oh, I tricked everybody. Tee like, oh, I got some success. Ha. Like, that's how it feels. So I get that.
100%. I was actually about to say imposter syndrome too, because even though like this has always been my passion, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do with my life since I was like 4 years old. I'm like, I'm gonna do music. That is it. I'm not gonna do anything else but this. The fact that it seems like there is some traction to this project is simultaneously exciting, and it also makes me feel weird, like uncomfortable.
Sure. Because of the spotlight that's put on you, or how valuable it feels to you, or what do you think that is?
Because I don't trust it. I don't trust it, and I don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't know if I feel like it's all a big charade, and then they're gonna do the Carrie ending, and they're gonna spill blood on us and go ha 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 ha.
Right. No, I totally get that, and I will confess this to you here. I have had that same sort of a feeling about myself, where I honestly thought, like, is the whole world just taking pity on me? Like,
yes,
is that
exactly.
how it feels? Okay. Because that's what I've experienced of like, oh, everybody's just pretending this guy's like normal. And it's like, I'm some charity case and I don't know, is what I like feel like sometimes. So.
Right. Yeah. They're just being nice. Like it's like,
yes.
It's like the family member where, the mom that means well, but doesn't really care about what you're doing, but you're like, hey mom, look what I made. And they're like, that's nice, dear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely. I'm up to this many.
Put that right on the refrigerator.
Yeah. I'm up to this many streams. Yep, that's wonderful. And it's like, the people on the internet really like what I'm doing.
And then your drunk father comes down the stairs and he's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Rips it off the fridge.
What's this stupid shit? Oh, a podcast?
Puts a number to the steel mill.
Yeah.
Puts that on the fridge. Talk to Tony at the steel mill. Oh.
But I do feel that often. Like, I get you in that respect of like feeling out of place maybe, or that I tricked people. I did want to mention and touch upon, I mentioned it very briefly, but the Whorticulture Discord server is like a
sure.
It seems like you guys have really like stepped up and kind of embraced like having a Discord server and having that community that you can tap into. Could you just talk about like sort of how you found yourself like on it and how it's grown a little bit?
Sure. We kind of fell into that until like my first experience with Discord was literally right after the Battle of the Bands that you mentioned.
Okay.
Like that's how recent this was. Oh. So that was when did that take place?
Right.
It was like August of.
Was it last year?
22. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I know.
All right.
We're old.
Right.
The one of the moderators for Aesthetic Perfections server reached out to me and sent me an invite.
Raz.
And of course I'm like, I've heard of, yes, it was Raz.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've heard of this before. I've seen people talk about Discord, but I thought it was just for gamers.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really looked into it before, but I was like, okay, when in Rome, I will do the thing and see what it's like. And so I just kind of bumbled my way through it. and tried to figure it out on the fly.
Mm.
And then after that, Raz was also the moderator on Emma, who is Electronic Body Memes on Instagram. And by the way, if you don't follow her on Instagram, please do. Awesome memes from the scene. So we joined Emma's community, and that's kind of where everything started. We started to meet people there and just sort of participate and, you know, when in Roman, do as the Romans do, or when in Rome, excuse me. That would be a different kind of a sentence. And so it happened just before the Solar Fig tour. And so they created some specific threads that were just for the Solar Fig tour, for people who wanted to talk about the tour and share stuff. Well, I decided to be more active on those threads and share behind the scenes pictures and little like tidbits about, hey, we're in this city, here's what happened, here's what's going on. And people seemed to really enjoy that and started participating within that thread a lot. We started to build up this little community. And then pretty much out of nowhere, I think it was after the end of the tour, Raz decided to build us our own Discord. And I initially said no. I said, no, this doesn't make any sense because, like you said, we're a band with 7 songs.
Right.
Who the fuck cares about Whorticulture, like beginning for a baby band?
Right.
Like I said, maybe, like I appreciate the effort, but maybe in like a couple years. And she basically just said, "Oh, I already made it, and it's open, and people are already in there." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, better jump in there."
Yeah.
And so it was pretty much just like things happened to us, which I know sounds very anti-personal responsibility, but that's how it was. People did a thing. We're just like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now." And once we felt like we had our own place, I was like, "Okay, well." Having a sense of community is extremely important. And if we can keep this alive and if we can cultivate this and make this a really cool place for people to hang out and feel, at least to the best of our ability, seen, heard, understood, validated, and have fun, like this could be really important. And so I just leaned into that.
Gotcha. Eric, did you have something to add on this?
No, I actually it's hard for me to even pop in there sometimes because Niko's constantly, he's like, "Eric, get into Discord and say hi to people." I'm like, "Oh yeah, shit."
Right.
It's like 11 o'clock after a gig because I work in events and I run sound and
yeah, I mean,
yeah, I got my days are like sometimes 13 to 15 hours long. It's brutal.
And I mean, you know, there's being socially drained, like, you know, like it, and that's the thing that I sort of appreciate about Discord is that it's a community I can kind of check in on when I have some time, like, if that makes sense. Like, it's a
absolutely, yeah. You can make it. It's like the equivalent or the difference between a phone call and a text message, where the phone call is really direct and you have to be there and be on. It's like, okay, we have to talk right now in real time. Not that Discord isn't real time, but the feeling of a text message is like you can respond when it's good for you. Yes. And you can make that happen. I was going to say too, the idea of building a community around whatever piece of art that you are passionate about and what you do in the world is something that I had wanted to do for our previous band. And at this time period, there wasn't Discord as far as I knew, or if it was,
we made one. We made,
yeah.
We made a chat room on our website.
All right,
like an actual it was Discord without the Discord.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it was an old forum, like a forum plugin or something like that on what's the super popular website platform that everyone uses? WordPress. It was just like a forum, and it was a similar idea, like Eric was saying, to try to build a community around our previous band. But as I also mentioned, there wasn't really any sort of buzz or momentum. So we had a handful of people in there,
Right.
and it was like, again, it was a forum. So you'd put up a post, and then someone would reply to the post, and it's like, as opposed to like a back and forth conversation.
Right.
And it was hard to get people to, be interested in that.
Right.
And we had our old band really has a tough crowd because we're dealing with out of the box metal,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
prog. So right out the bat, you don't fit into like what someone normally thinks is awesome. So metal fans are usually pretty brutal when it comes to new stuff.
Mm.
They are the ultimate hipsters. They're the ultimate hipsters, and like, that they and they'll let you know.
Mm.
They'll let you know like unabashedly that you suck. But I think like in all the stuff that we're doing, even the goth community that we grew up in, everybody it was always such a welcome environment,
Right.
It's like if you're genuine and you're honest and you have a general love of this music, then people will accept you. But it usually sometimes doesn't go the other way around. You know what I mean? It's in the metal world.
Yeah.
So
that is,
we really had to like, it was a tough crowd for us.
And I just wanted to comment really quick that it does seem like a lot of what you guys have sort of stumbled into is a lot of things that have just sort of have found you since you've been doing this thing. I mean, your community found you.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the case of, coming on Void Signal, like I found you and, in this kind of a thing. So it has been cool, and congratulations on your success.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
it's weird and confusing.
Understandable, completely understandable. I suddenly have like patrons and shit, so I'm like, wow, people give a fuck about what I'm doing in the world. So
they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
It's crazy. It's a good feeling.
It is a good feeling. And I wanted to say, for you, Brian, knowing a little bit about what you had gone through and where you had been, it's really cool for me personally, being someone who has always been very passion focused and dream focused, to hear that you have come kind of full circle into kind of re-embracing all the things that you were doing and finding new love for them.
Well,
because I know you said that you had moments where you like, kind of like, we talked about moments where we were going to like, oh, maybe we shouldn't go on anymore. Maybe we're going to give up. And you had shared with me that, you'd had doubts about your own thing. So it makes me happy to hear when people do the childlike thing and go, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do the thing that makes me happy. It's like, good.
Don't give up.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And yeah, I ended up talking to you. We've only like had like a couple of deep conversations, I guess, of like, because I was talking to you during like my surgery recovery, because it was right around the time that I had to like cancel. Because I was in no state to record. So yeah, it was, and thank you for saying that. It does feel really good to realize that you love something, and that if you love it, you should do it. And you should try to make time for it. So thank you for saying that. I do appreciate it. And
of course,
I'm glad that the two of you have also found something that you love that has been rewarding to you. I'm in the same boat of like, we started on a thing on a whim just because we wanted it. And so far, so fucking good. We've found some people that are into what we're doing, and great. Awesome. Like it is good. And I'm very happy for the two of you as well. But again, thank you for saying that. I do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, maybe that's part of the question you had earlier. Maybe that aspect, which is something that we all share. Maybe it's more than just the piece of art that we contribute, all of us, in our own way out into the world, maybe people can pick up on a sense of passion for that thing, or a sense of authenticity of like, this is just who we are, and we believe this, we live this, we love this stuff.
Right.
Maybe people can sense that. Maybe they can sense that in you, right?
Maybe. Hopefully. But not to be like self-deprecating, but yeah, I maybe you're right. Like, I would hope so. I would hope that people who are genuine, that comes across. I think so. I mean, sometimes I'll hear a band or a song or whatever, and I'm just like, it clicks, right? It's on the wavelength. Mm-hmm. They're open on all frequencies, and we can receive and understand. Some people are just like that. It happens in real life too. Like I met a guy at one of my previous jobs. Like it was my first day. Like I didn't fucking know anybody. I'm like taking the tour, and he like comes into the kitchen where I'm like on the tour, and he's like, "What's your name?" and like shakes my hand, and like just like this instant like, and he is like one of my best friends, like, and it's just, but it can happen that easily with, I feel like, not just relationships but with art as well. Is that, and sure, you could argue that you make a relationship with art sometimes abusive.
Yes, that's actually true.
But it can happen just that fast, of just like, I love this thing and I never want to be parted from it. So I would love to believe, and I hope that you are right, that it seems in my experience as well that is how the universe can work.
Well, one thing that I have heard, so I feel like I can relay it from other people rather than coming from me, is, at least in our Discord, I've had people say that part of the reason that they are now so active in the Discord and that they are more into the band and more passionate about Whorticulture is simply through their interactions with Eric and myself, whether they saw us live, whether they just talk to us through comments on IG or in the Discord itself.
Right.
They have, because I've asked a similar question, like, hey guys, why is this Discord so active? You could go to there's a million bands out there. Other people have Discords too, way bigger bands. Most bands are bigger than this.
Right.
Why is this one so active? Because like you, I'm like, this is weird. And maybe I should be afraid.
Maybe you should.
Weird in that.
I've been on the Whorticulture server. Maybe you should.
There's a lot of weird shit that goes on in there. Yeah, but it's all wholesome and silly.
Right.
Yeah. That's the other thing that's odd. But yeah, I'm people have said that part of it is just interaction, and I try to keep that stuff in mind because I know what it's like to have met artists and performers and other people that in the past I looked up to, and maybe have that interaction be not very satisfying or maybe even full on disappointing. And that can color how you feel about that person's art.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that does play into the whole concept of art being a relationship. Because you can certainly, the person making it is a component of it. I don't want to get too topical. Maybe I do. Yes. I do want to get topical.
Get edgy.
Okay. All right. I do. Can we talk about the Kanga Mr. Kitty thing? Do you guys know about this?
Sure.
Okay.
I know about
the Mr. Kitty thing, not the Kanga.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe a week or so ago, week and a half, something like that, Artifact Records puts out Kanga remix of a track from her first record that was done by Mr. Kitty, who is a pedophile. He was sent lewd pictures of himself and was essentially grooming a 15-year-old boy.
Jesus.
Admitted it and is unrepentant. Feels that he has done nothing wrong.
Wow.
A shitty human garbage, in other words.
Yes.
So this whole thing comes out and huge uproar. Kanga makes a video apology. A particular bit of wordage that I hung on to, and that was, "We did it quietly," is something that she said after, and said that her excuse me, her label Artifact had to convince her. So obviously people behind the scenes know this is not the right thing to do. This is stupid. This is a dumb thing. You are doing a thing that is actually evil. Sorry, not to get too fucking fanatical about it, but like this is a thing done out of greed. You were hoping nobody would notice. The reason you're apologizing is because people caught you. Like you're not apologizing because you're sorry. You're apologizing because people caught you. You did it quietly, so you knew, but you did it anyway. Anyway, that's my rant about that. It feels good to get it out. Thank you so much Thank you so much for letting me give voice to that.
You are absolutely welcome. And this is, by the way, your podcast. So feel free.
True. Yeah, that's true. I can say whatever I want on here. I don't know. What are do you guys have any thoughts? I mean, have you seen much about this situation or anything?
Not specifically this one, but there's been so many things. There was just the whole thing with Rammstein and Till.
Right.
There was, what was it, William Control?
Oh, is that guy
happened
garbage?
Yes.
Oh, fuck me. I didn't know.
Yeah, there's a whole, I will DM you an article that talks about all the stuff that he had done with some of his fans. It's pretty vile stuff. To the point where once he was fully called out by some of these women, he completely, quote unquote, retired. He left the spotlight completely because of it. So
wow. All right.
Yeah, it's gross. And this is kind of what brings me back to the whole thing about like being a passionate person and being like a genuine person and all that stuff. There's crappy people everywhere. Yes. No matter, it's not just music, of course, we know that. But I think there is some sort of pattern or there is a commonality that there are a lot of not so amazing musicians and performers and artists out there.
Right.
And so when you meet someone that just is like, hey, at least as far as I can tell, this person seems like a good person. They seem like a good person.
Right.
Like that's important. Like that says something. And maybe, and I could be wrong, but maybe that's another aspect of things that people are connecting with in sort of our whole similar situation here.
Sure. And I don't know. Part of me just gets upset about it a little bit too, just because it's like, if this were an artist I loved, right? Like, tomorrow Whorticulture tries to quietly release a remix of one of their tracks by somebody who's garbage. Like the betrayal that I would feel would be tremendous. Because I would have been under the impression and I would have been operating as a fan under the idea that I knew you to an extent, or I knew that you were, or I thought you were good, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, kind of, it's like the, can you separate the artist from the art type of a conversation?
Yes. Which I see people arguing for. And I feel like we landed on this topic because we were very close to this subject like a few minutes ago of like separating the art from the artist. And I don't believe that is possible. I believe that we can try and read Roland Barthes as many ways as we want to about the death of the author and all this kind of shit. But like, I can't do it. I can't make that separation. Personally. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Can you?
Eric, any thoughts?
Separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends.
Okay.
If it's something bad, yeah, I don't know if I could separate that, but if they're just like, maybe they like, I don't know, Chevy trucks. Like, I hate Chevy trucks because I have one. I'm not going to listen to this band because I know the driver drives a Chevy.
Right. Obviously morally bankrupt to do so.
Yeah. I mean, there's varying degrees. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if it's like a religious person,
Right.
I'm not gonna not listen to their music because they're religious. You know,
Right.
something like that.
Okay. Niko.
Well, and you also have like,
Mm.
if someone is like, and this is pretty common with musicians, like someone comes across as a complete asshole,
Right.
but maybe they didn't actually do anything morally heinous.
Right.
They're just a dick.
Asshole. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
a dick.
It's like, okay, you're always going to know that they're a dick, but can you still appreciate the art? I think depending on how you feel about that artist and that music and the impact that it's made on you, you might be able to come to oh, well, I still like this song. It still means something to me. And I will own it for myself in a personal way rather than think about the artist or something.
Sure.
You know, like an interesting thought experiment. Like, would you still like Akon if he didn't throw that kid off the stage? Because he like got a water bottle thrown at him, and he's like, "Point that kid out!" And then the kid comes up and he picks him up like a firefighter, and like throws him off. And yeah, you know that like what people getting up on stages and you see these performers turn into like, in Maynard's case, like in jiu-jitsu, a guy that jumps on stage, or like Keith Richards like taking a swing with the guitar and a guy jumping on stage. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like,
can we expect that in horticulture performances in the future?
We'll have to script it. To be planned ahead of time.
Yeah, it depends on the level of heckling.
Right. Okay. Well, I haven't seen you live yet, but if that gets changed soon, which I will make it happen, you'll get your first round of heckling, I promise.
Oh, thank God.
Well, I heard a little bit of it at our last show where we opened for She Wants Revenge, right?
Mm.
And we do banter between songs. And it really stuck with me because I heard one guy way off in the distance go, "Play some music." Did you hear that, Niko? You hear that guy? Oh, I did. I'm like, that stuck with me. I'm like, play.
Yeah, perform for me. Yeah, awesome.
Play.
Wow.
How dare you try to connect with the audience and perform the floor?
Nobody wants that shit. Just make noise.
No.
Play. Actually, I kind of want to be that guy now at a show. I'd be like that acoustic singer-songwriter. She's like, "Well, this is a really emotional song for me. I wrote it because I was really going to play."
I really want to do that now too. That sounds great. It's better than play Freebird, like, because it's just a generic command of play whatever. Play.
she's like tuning up. Ding ding ding. So so I beat cancer, and this song is about me getting out of play.
I love it. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long. So I will go ahead and hit you with the last question of the podcast, which is, what is something that you are enjoying right now? And your answer can be anything, from, a book or a movie or, whatever. What's something that you're just fucking jazzed about?
Eric, you have anything positive?
Yeah, we try to end it on a high note because, be jazzed about something. I know we're living at the end of human history, but,
Pass. Yeah. No, let me think about it. Go.
Okay. I'm also trying. I like the idea of trying to frame the end and like, hey, let's talk about something positive. It's good for me to do this exercise. I encourage other people to do the same.
Yes, I just sometimes I have an answer ready, but not always. So I have to I'll throw it to the guest and be like, "Hey," and then it's totally fine if we all need to just take a second and sort of.
Sure.
Yeah, everything sucks, but let me find one thing.
to be honest, and not trying to be a downer, it's just this year has been pretty challenging for me on a personal level, and Eric has also had a lot of challenges in his life lately, and so we're kind of going through that and dealing with that as best as we possibly can. But at the same time, it is important to be able to acknowledge the things that are good and the things that are positive. So let me be sappy a second.
Yes.
And I will say that I very much appreciate having Eric in my life. He's one of my best friends, and he's of course also my bandmate.
Brothers.
Brothers.
Play.
Timing. Good. I appreciate you, Brian. I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate the fact that you even wanted to make the effort to chat with us. That's really, really cool. That means a lot to us.
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone in the Discord. I'm still confused as to why they want to be there, but they have their own reasons. Anyone who's listened to the music, I mean, as I said, this is still this thing that shocks me that people give a shit about. At least they seem to. Maybe it's the illusion of giving a shit, but they act like they do, and it's weird to me because, as I said, we're so used to feeling like things don't work and they fail and they fall apart, and to have a moment, finally when I'm just into my 40s, now it's time to be the rock star now that I'm a middle-aged man.
Right. This is what my midlife crisis looks like.
Damn right.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's still amazing. Like, we stuck with it, and here we are. We have people that are interested in chatting with us. We have people who like listening to our music, people who, want to come and see us at a live show. And like, that's really important. And those things are precious because there's no reason that stuff is going to last. I hope it does, but it's a moment in time, and it could be fleeting. And so therefore it's important to re-examine and re-look at it and go, hey, take this in, appreciate there's a moment where people are feeling positively towards something that you helped to create and put into the world, and appreciate that and go, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because it could be gone tomorrow, or you could. Mm-hmm. So yeah, agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good answer. Eric, what do you got?
Oh,
it's your turn. And then I'll do mine. I finally got I got one. It's kind of stealing from Niko, but it's fine.
I'm actually jazzed to slow down a little bit after the end of this year. Slow down.
Okay.
And be able to, spend some more time in the studio, which I'm really looking forward to. I recently had to make a decision whether I was going to take my studio time or go back out on tour. And I decided to take the studio time. Like, it's just, time is more important,
Sure.
It's a hard decision, but that's actually what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to actually taking a vacation, hopefully maybe 10 days. And doing that. Oh, and I'm jazzed about dog sitting in a month. We get to dog sit. We get to dog sit in a month, like a really badass dog.
Awesome. Dogs are wonderful. I like them better than people.
Me too.
Well, my answer is I'm gonna kind of steal combo answer. So first, I get to do Void Signal live at Mechanismus next year.
Hells yeah.
So yes, doing a 30-minute panel. What is it going to be? I don't fucking know. But I got it. And Void. So not only is next year the 15th anniversary of Mechanismus, it is the 3rd year anniversary of Void Signal. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure something out. But I'm so fucking excited. I'm really jazzed.
That's amazing.
Get in front of people and hold them hostage to my thoughts for a little while.
Listen to me.
I mean, so that was the other component of my thing I'm happy about that I'm going to steal from you. The Void Signal Discord server has been, I love the people on it, and I love it so much because it was, made just as a, here's a thing where I interview artists. And then I was like, we can put people on it, I guess, and they can be hostages to my thoughts at 2 a.m. That's primarily what it's been. But for some reason, people have been joining and they're like, I like this. And then they hang out and contribute and talk to each other. And it's been so wonderful to finally see it. It was barren. It was a ghost town of just me and my thoughts for a long time. And the one person I tricked into coming into it and hanging out with me. And now it's a whole community of people.
Yay.
It's awesome. And I do wholeheartedly agree with you that community is a good thing to build. It's
Absolutely.
really important to, because a lot of people that we meet throughout our lives are we work at the same place or we go to the same school or whatever. But going to a goth night or going to a Discord server for a band or whatever, you're interacting with people who love the same thing you do. And you're basing whatever relationship you start to make with each other upon a shared love, a shared interest. And I think that's going to probably make stronger relationships in the long term. Maybe. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm new to this, but
Me too.
yeah, I guess we will see. But
No, I would agree with that. Those are some good sentiments there, my friend.
thanks. Sometimes I say smart things. Not always, but
Play.
Shit. All right. All right. Thank you both so much for your time and for making this work and coming on. Yeah, thank you again for your time, and I look forward to catching you guys live and seeing you at some point in the future. I may be coming out to Denver at some point in the future.
Oh, really?
For a visit. I would love to connect and get up to hijinks.
Yes.
But
Hijinks, yes.
I will keep you
Shenanigans.
my favorite flavor of hijinks is the shenanigans flavor.
It's delicious. Salty, but delicious.
We're also into low jinks, so just chilling.
Yeah. All right.
Some low jinks.
I smoke a lot of cannabis, so I'm always doing hijinks. My jinks are always just as high as I can get them.
Well,
all right. Well, thank you both so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will let you know when this go up and everything.
thank you, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Oh,
Thanks, Brian.
last thing. Send me a photo for the cover of the two of you, like a promo photo or, just a photo of yourselves that you like or whatever.
Void Signal intro and outro music courtesy of Processor. Visit processor2.bandcamp.com for more Processor, and visit voidsignal.net to help support the creation of more Void Signal. Thank you.